Hi everyone. Hopefully, hold on, let me make sure that everyone can, yep, everyone should be able to hear me. Um, so, welcome everyone. Um, Today we're going to be the going through Zayuk Safe HOA Ledger or Community Ledger. And so we're going to talk about why you need a ledger, what this ledger does, and why it's of huge value to you and your association, because it is of huge value to you and your association. Um, so let me get to the screen. All right, so I'm going to enter um, my phone number. Give me one moment. Let me find it. Da, da, da. All right, I'm gonna need to give me one moment, guys. Wow. Um, Dang. Okay, let me just enter then with someone else. Oh, I can actually enter with my phone. Give me 1 minute. All right. So we do a code. I mean, it's not too big of a deal, but no password. It's a little different. But getting to the point, so what's the reason you need an HOA ledger, and what's the reason that you'd like our HOA ledger? Um, so there are many reasons. One is because it maintains a repository of your assets. And so um, that's very important. And there's many other reasons, and we'll go through them. And this app is available to both managers and self owned associations. One thing that I think most software that you'll use with associations completely misses is the maintenance of assets. A lot of the software is about billing. Um, Zayuk Safe doesn't handle billing. Um, so let me. So I'm not actually being seen now, I guess, but Zayuk Safe doesn't handle billing. And so, but what we do handle is transactions across across your bank accounts, and we pull in the transaction streams from most of all HOA banks. And so that is something that is new for Zayuk and something that is hugely valuable because associations no longer, I mean, associations can onboard immediately. They can bring in their banking. We don't have banking history, but they can bring it. Actually, I believe we do. So they can bring in their transactions, start typing them to assets, and so we'll talk about defining assets. And so this is again a prop tech management tool. It's specifically, it's a lot of things. It's all encompassing, I would say. Um, there's lots of parts to it. And so I've talked to multiple different stakeholders on it. And the stakeholders I've spoken with are both HOA residents as well as HOA vendors. Um, and so they both see some value in it for their own reasons. I mean, both of them thought the balances and the transaction streams were huge, and we do as well. And we're going to build out the budgeting feature because it's just obviously hugely valuable. And in addition to that, we have a ticket workflow stream that is going to evolve significantly. This is a very important feature. And so here there are various types of tickets, which could be service requests, dispute resolutions, violations, announcements, architecture requests, governance changes. And at the moment, we only select one asset. But if you can see, I mean, actually, you can't see, so we'll have to go through the app. Um, but this will evolve because, well, you can see one thing, and that's governance. So here, you can type your governance items into the app, and then we're going to bring in a form where someone can, here, one of our upcoming features in the coming, I would say I would hope 2 weeks, is to type, instead of just one asset to this, 0 to 1 assets, and we'll talk about defining assets as well as 0 to 1 governance rules. And so if you're in the HOA industry, if you know HOAs, um, these 3 rules, and we're gonna add our fourth rule set. These are rule sets. That's how we define them. And uh, as a software company, we have an obligation, and I don't even think an obligation. I mean, I know it's very valuable. Um, we don't have, I mean, data security is an obligation, but these typing these articles, I spoke with a founder uh, of a construction defect um, startup, and it was really interesting to hear how HOA rules, governance rules affect, local governance, which is a huge deal. So, having this in a data-driven format, I think, is hugely valuable, providing an API out for the city, for stakeholders, lawyers, um, law, lawyer companies. I don't know, but those are things that we want to talk about later. But I think, I was way, the one thing that I think that managers and board members, and I apologize to managers and board members if I just went, a little off, but I think the one thing you guys can get out of that is that um, your data is highly available, which is a huge deal. I mean, the data that you need to be available. So we'll talk about this. And, the permission schemas are obviously complex, but here in our associations tab, we define, so I added various vendors, new vendor at vendor.com. So these are the various types of vending, and we might do 0 to 1 on the vendors. So here's the new vendor, and we also have managers. So there are, uh, give me one moment, guys. All right, thank you. So that's various types of vendors can be added, and when that happens, they are added to the software, so they are added to the database, and this is very big. As you populate this data, you don't want your vendor history to go away. You want that to stay in place. So this is part of the ledger. Um, Vendor history, board history, general resident history, keeping that secure, keeping that highly available, making tools that are able to build on that easy. Um, so again, we talk about, and then we have our board feature. So this will likely evolve to a a full roster feature, but so let's go to the assets because at the end of the day, everything is kind of, we talked about tickets and the importance of tickets, but they are all they revolve around assets. So making sure, you know, we type assets within this directory and specifically buildings and units. So a resident could add a unit here. Let's call it 404, 404, and let's just call it 404 Grand South. So, and then from there, when they want to get a ticket here, they can do 404 Grand South and say, my place is flooded. Flooded place. And then they can add attachments. And so that, when we talk about service requests, when we talk about architecture requests, you guys don't need to change like your form or anything. You can just attach the form right here and have the data traceability to the asset that it's an architecture request. And also, this is why we want many zero to many assets, because that's going to be a very specific asset. That's going to be, what are you getting an architecture request on in your home? Is it your windows? Is it your door? Is it some interior thing? So having, common assets that still have see rules and regulations in accordance with them, so then you can type in the rule and regulation as well. And so, we talk about hypotheticals here, but this isn't very hypothetical. I mean, these features will be coming in the coming days and months. So we talk about common assets directory. I showed this to a reserve study specialist within the last several days, and they said the ticket feature is powerful, but I think the reason it's all powerful is because a lot of other software revolves around the users, especially I'm talking about HOA software. It revolves around the users and it revolves around transactions across the users, which is frankly not what HOAs, I mean, they need that. That's absolutely a necessary thing. This is not billing software again. It's $19.99 plus 50 cents per unit. That price might increase. So for the moment, it's $19.99 plus 50 cents. This is a very highly valuable product. And HOA people within the industry can see that. I mean, I talked to a resident who's barely been involved within their HOA, and they said just having the transaction stream, the budgeting stream, the balancing stream, and because in this day and age, your HOA shouldn't have to work to get that information. It shouldn't be an ordeal. It shouldn't be this this process of just and it's much easier on the manager. So, as far as we talk about managers, HOAs, like, so we talk about bringing in vendors and inviting vendors to support tickets. You guys will be able to bring in your vendors. Vendors will be able to create profiles for themselves with pictures so people can see, and names, and so people can see, and, depending on the need, that could go further, or the desire by users. And so the managers can like just boom, 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 a few clicks, and then they've got emails sent out to everybody they need to. You do everything on the ticket. You make the comments on the ticket. And again, this is why I say the ticketing feature will evolve significantly because it will evolve significantly. There's a lot going on here. I mean, in the idea of a service request, the asset, the provider, and the rule is very important. And if there are features that, again, managers, residents want in, we will bring them in. Defining privacy. So if it's private, that's going to be viewable by your board and your manager. If that's public, that's going to be viewable by everybody, that ticket. So it's really important that you understand that. Um, we default to private, but we have this announcement feature. So if people want to create a public announcement, um, they can do that. They can do that, and it will be there. Uh, so anything else? I went through a lot really quickly, um, but it's a very powerful product, and associations want to get their data in here. I guarantee it. It's secure. It's on AWS in the US, in Oregon. Um, our streams come in from Stripe, so we don't actually, take in any of your data or anything like that. It's just a stream. I mean, when I say we don't take in your data, like we don't go into your bank account, we don't need your routing number. Whoever has authoritative access to these bank accounts puts them down. And it's really powerful. And so we have a documents feature. This will likely also change. I mean, we'll have a document store, but in 2024, there's just too many high feature document store drive like capabilities, whether that's Google Drive, OneDrive. I'm sure there's another one, Dropbox. And the more powerful thing here would be to get some sort of um, integration towards that. That is not close to coming, and that's kind of how thinking about it, a connections feature. And again, as a startup, we need people talking to us. We need people to say, hey, um, our customers to be very, let us know. So if you guys have any sort of issues, please don't hesitate. Thank you.